They called it the miracle of the century, a future where identity could be rebuilt with scalpels and stitches, where a face, once torn away, could be borrowed. But the body remembers. It doesn't always say yes. Sometimes it says nothing at all. And in that silence, the new face becomes a battlefield. These are the stories of 3 people who underwent one of the most radical procedures modern medicine can offer. Not for vanity, not for beauty, but for the chance to be seen as human again. What followed wasn't just survival. It was a daily negotiation between biology, memory, and fate. A tug of war between the old self and the new skin that never quite ended.
Welcome to the Archivist Files.
Li Guoxing lived in a quiet corner of Yunnan, China, a farmer, a shepherd, days filled with bleating goats and soft winds, until 2004 when silence shattered. A black bear lunged as he protected his livestock. The animal shredded his face, right cheek, nose, upper lip, and eyebrow, gone. He lived, but his face did not. In April 2006, Li became the first person in China and the second in the world to receive a partial face transplant. The donor, a brain-dead man. The surgeons, a military team in Xi'an. For 14 hours, they reattached arteries, nerves, and flesh. A stranger's features were sewn where Li's had once been. Li woke up with a new face. It didn't feel like his, but it was alive. He learned to drink, eat, smile. A mustache grew where there had been only scar. Journalists declared it a miracle, and it was, but a miracle with conditions. Every day, Li swallowed immunosuppressants, drugs that stopped his immune system from destroying the foreign tissue, but they also destroyed his strength, made him vulnerable to infections, fatigue, organ failure, cancer. He lived in a government-provided apartment, visited regularly by doctors. His face drew stares. Not all were kind. He rarely went out without a mask. When asked how it felt, he once said, "I can smile now, but I don't always want to." And then, the mirror. He saw the face of a dead man staring back. In 2008, Li reportedly stopped taking his medication. Maybe it was the side effects. Maybe he turned to herbal remedies. Maybe he simply got tired. But the result was the same. His immune system attacked the graft. The face darkened, hardened. He grew ill, isolated. And in that quiet village, where he had once been celebrated, Li Guoxing died. He was just 32 years old. There were no cameras, no reporters, just the end. He had carried a miracle on his face, and it betrayed him, a gift with strings, a new life, until his body refused the cost. In 2005, across the world in northern France, Isabelle Denoir was a 38-year-old mother trying to forget her own despair. One night, she took sleeping pills, too many. When she passed out, her dog panicked. He tried to wake her. When she didn't respond, he gnawed at her face. When Isabelle awoke, her mouth was gone. No lips, no nose, just torn flesh and bone. Her daughters couldn't look at her. She couldn't eat or speak. But the worst part wasn't the pain. It was the mirror. Doctors offered something never attempted before, a partial face transplant, from a donor who had taken her own life. Isabelle agreed. In some way, they said, one woman's end could become another's beginning. A 15-hour surgery followed. Donor tissue, lips, chin, nose, was grafted onto Isabelle's wounds. When she awoke, she could not feel the face. But then, sensation returned. She sipped water, whispered words. One day, her daughter kissed her cheek and she wept, not from pain, but because she felt human again. She once described it as waking up with someone else's mask. Over time, the mask softened, moved with her, became hers. The world watched in awe. Her face graced magazine covers. She smiled in interviews. But inside, the the struggle grew. The drugs that saved her graft poisoned her health. Her gums bled. Her face swelled. Her immune system, battered by pills, began turning on her. Slowly, her body prepared for war. By 2015, rejection had begun. Her skin thinned, blood vessels narrowed, tissue died. Parts of her new face had to be removed. Then came the tumors. 2 of them. Doctors linked them to her medications. The drugs keeping her face alive were now killing her. Isabelle said little during this time. She had given the world everything she could. Her final interviews were quiet, measured. She knew what was coming. In April 2016, Isabelle Denoir died at 49. The announcement came months later. Her final years were pain-racked, but they were also groundbreaking. She gave doctors knowledge, and the world a glimpse of bravery. For a time, she showed us that life, even when borrowed, is still worth living. Jerome Haman was born with neurofibromatosis. His face changed over the years, swelled, deformed. By his 30s, he could barely speak. In 2010, surgeons replaced his entire face. The first man to receive a full face transplant. Nose, skin, eyelids, all from a stranger. At first he flourished. He said, "I feel normal again." He began speaking in public, smiling. His confidence returned. But fate wasn't finished. In 2015, a cold ruined everything. An antibiotic interfered with his medication. His immune system, freed, attacked the graft. Black lesions bloomed. The face died. In 2017, surgeons removed it completely. Jerome lived faceless for 2 months. Gauze covered, no features, a blank slate. But he waited. Then, another miracle. A donor. In 2018, he received a second full-face transplant, the first person in history to do so. The operation lasted 24 hours. This time, the face held. He called himself a quiet reader. He liked books, the ocean. He stayed out of the spotlight, but his existence was extraordinary. He carried not one, but 2 men's faces, and all the memories stitched into them. He once joked, "I've had more faces than birthdays." But even laughter carried weight. In 2024, Jerome Haman died at age 49. The cause was not made public. He had defied medicine, twice, but even the strongest body grows tired. His final words to the press were simple. "It's me. It's still me." 3 people, 3 faces, 1 brutal truth. A face transplant is not a cure. It's not a fix. It's a gamble, a lifelong experiment in trust between your body and someone else's flesh. It lives in the silence of blood tests, in the fear of missed pills, in the shadow of a mirror. Lee died where he was born, his second face buried with him. Isabelle faded from the cameras that once celebrated her, and Jerome, the man with 3 faces, carried more than skin. He carried history. None of them asked for this, but each became something more than a patient. They became evidence, proof that the human spirit will fight to be seen. Medicine gave them faces, but it never gave them peace. There were no guarantees, no happy endings, only borrowed time. This wasn't a miracle. This was maintenance. This was survival. This was science in all its cold glory, and it came at a cost. Their faces were stitched from hope. But hope has a half-life, and eventually, even the bravest bodies run out of time.